So, lick 1, you're basically in your C sharp minor pentatonic box. A lot of the stuff that we're going to be playing takes place in the C sharp minor pentatonic box. And the associated full-length scale of C sharp minor. So if hopefully you're familiar, because I'm going to be using a lot of terms that if you're not familiar with the C sharp minor scale, a lot of the terms I'm going to be using are going to be unfamiliar to you, but nonetheless you've got tabs, and I'm going to show you how to play the licks anyway. But for those of you who do know, the C sharp minor box is sort of where we're positioned for a lot of the solo. However, George Benson does use the full-length version of the scale. Right? In this case, what we're doing, we are starting on the 9th fret, bouncing back and forth between C sharp and E. Now the interesting thing about this is he starts the solo not on bar 1, not on the C sharp minor, but he starts it on bar 3, beat 2, which is the A major 7. So he's playing the C sharp minor box over the A major 7. So he bounces back and forth between C sharp, E, and C sharp. And then he does the same idea with a preceding note of G sharp. And then he does the same idea again with a preceding note of B. And then he does it yet again with the G sharp. So it's the same lick 4 times. The first time with no preceding lick. The second time with a G sharp. The third time with a B. And the 4th time with a G sharp again. And then after that, he does this lick where he slides into the G sharp. Now this, we're just sliding into the G sharp and then playing E, F sharp, G sharp, C sharp, E. So you've got... And basically this is pretty much straight C sharp minor pentatonic. You are not doing anything extraordinary. The most interesting thing about this is that he's playing the same first 3 notes 4 times in a row with a different preceding lick. Okay, so in lick 2, we are still in our C sharp minor box, and in this case we're using, for the most part, the larger scale version, or a version of the C sharp minor scale. So we're starting with this part, where we start on the G sharp once again, play the C sharp, both on the top 2 strings underneath my first finger bar, play the E, and then we end on the 9, which is the D sharp. Now the interesting thing about this particularly is this is at the end of bar 1 of the chord progression. So this is at the end of the C sharp minor bar, and the D sharp lands on the B minor 11 or B minor 7 chord. Now what that creates is sort of the sound of a B7 sharp 9. Sorry about that. It creates the sound of a B7 sharp 9. Now, why does it create a B7 sharp 9? Because the B minor 7, if you're thinking about whoever's comping, playing a B minor 7 chord, that's B, D, F sharp, and A. If you add that D sharp, which is the 3 of a B major chord, you have a flat 3rd and a major 3rd in the chord, or you can think of it as a sharp 9, that flat 3rd being sort of like a sharp 9, giving you a dominant 7 sharp 9 chord. Now, that note is on the beginning of the B minor bar, like that. And then after that D sharp, we're only there for a second, and then he goes C sharp, B, and starts climbing down the scale. Right? So we're basically just climbing down the C sharp minor scale, and then after this B on the 12th fret, we start doing a chromatic idea. So after this B, we climb down chromatically to the G sharp, A natural, G sharp. And then those last two notes, F sharp and F natural, how do they play into this? Well, we're playing over an E7, some form of an E7 chord, and this F sharp is the 9 of the E, and the F natural is the flat 9 of the E. So you can think about this maybe as an E7 flat 9 with a chromatic leading tone into that flat 9. And that's how you get that F natural over the E7 chord. Okay, so lick 3, we are starting in the same position, well, a very similar position to everything we've done so far. We are starting on the G sharp, on the B string, and we are just basically climbing up the C sharp minor scale, skipping the 2. G sharp A, B, C sharp E, and then we get the 2 on the way back down. And the way back down is D sharp, C sharp, B, A. Now you can think about this is happening over the A major 7 bar. So you can think about this in terms of C sharp minor, just as a continuation of what we've been doing, staying in C sharp minor, or you can think about this in terms of A major 7. It doesn't really matter. However, if you think about it in terms of A major 7, you are playing a D sharp, which doesn't exist in the key of A major. That would make it A Lydian. So you have to take that into consideration depending on how you like to think about it. If you like to think about it in terms of the chord that you're playing over, you got to think A Lydian for the beginning of this. If you like to stay sort of derivative with the key, then you're just a continuation of C sharp minor. And then after that, we are now switching into the D sharp half diminished bar with this portion of the lick. This descending portion. Now what this is, we're starting on A, pull off to G sharp, and then chromatic climb down from the 4 to the 2 of C sharp minor. F sharp, F, E, D sharp. And then we play C sharp, C natural, and then A and G sharp. Now how does this factor into a D half diminished lick? Well, we're starting on the A natural, or sorry, D sharp half diminished. We're starting on the A natural, which is the flat 5 of that note. So that fits all pretty nicely. Now what we're doing, we're going from the flat 5 of that chord, which is the 6 of C sharp minor, and pulling off to the 5 of C sharp minor and climbing chromatically down to that D sharp over which we're playing right now. So we're basically starting that lick on the flat 5 of the D sharp and then climbing chromatically down to the root note of that chord. And then play C sharp to C natural. Now what's going on here? You can think about this in terms of C sharp harmonic minor, because what's happening, you're using the flat 6 of C sharp, the natural minor scale, and then a chromatic connection between the 4 and the 2. And then here's the 1 and the sharp 7 or major 7 of the minor key, and then A natural and G sharp once again, the minor 6 to the 5. So you can think about this basically as a C sharp harmonic minor scale with simple chromatic passing tones between the 4 and the 2. Like that. And then when we get into, we're basically now over the G7 or G sharp 7, and we do this. Okay, so now we've ended that descending harmonic minor lick on G sharp, and we're going to go back up to the A and do that to complete the rest of the G sharp 7 bar, or the second half of that bar at least. So we're pulling off A to G sharp, and then pulling off again all the way down to the F sharp. So and then slide that F sharp down to F. Now how do these 4 notes factor into G sharp? Well, you can think of this as a G sharp diminished scale, diminished 7, a half whole scale, half step, whole step scale. You have G sharp here, which is the root note of the chord that we're playing over, the G sharp 7. Then you have the flat 9, which is A, the flat 7, which gives you the dominant chord, and then the 6. So you basically have that those first 4 notes of a diminished scale. And then once we hit this F natural, we are now in the C sharp minor bar. And over that he goes. And what we're doing here, we're basically playing a G sharp minor 7 triad, or G sharp minor 7 arpeggio, excuse me. G sharp, B, D sharp, F sharp, back to D sharp, and finish it on the E. And then the last portion of this is that. Now we get sort of this weird dissonance, which is very cool. And what you can think about this, he now starts on an A sharp. We haven't hit an A sharp yet. So he's hinting at Dorian. He's hinting at C sharp Dorian. A sharp, D sharp. So the major 6 of C sharp minor, and then the 2, the 4, and then the flat 9, the D natural, back to the major 6. So in that respect, you can think about it as sort of a Dorian flat 9 lick, which is the second mode of the melodic minor scale. So you have multiple things going on here. Now, I don't know for a fact what George Benson thinks in his head when he plays. He probably doesn't think very much at all. He just hears pitches and his fingers go where they need to go. However, he's so well trained in jazz and so fluent in the language that he naturally gravitates towards these styles. But if you want to know what's going on, basically you're playing C sharp minor, and then you're playing C sharp harmonic minor with chromatic notes. And then you're playing sort of a G sharp diminished 7. And then G sharp minor 7. And then C sharp Dorian flat 9. And that's how you get that lick. Okay, so lick 4 is a real easy one. It's basically just a blues, E blues lick. And you're thinking about this over the B minor 7 and the E7 bar. So in that case, you're basically just thinking E major blues, which is pretty simple. And you are going from the C sharp to the E, and then you're doing a chromatic move from F sharp to G sharp. Like that. And then we flatten our ring finger along the 12th fret to get the B natural, and then the G natural, which we slide back into F sharp. And after that slide back, we pull off to E. And then those 3 notes are F sharp, C sharp, and E. Once again, basically E major. Finish on a C sharp. And that's basically just an E blues lick. Okay, lick 5, very simple. We are getting even simpler now. We are playing just a C sharp minor pentatonic lick. And we are starting on the 14th fret of the B string on C sharp, to the E, to the F sharp. And when we hit that F sharp, we bend it slightly, like not even a half step, and then play a natural F sharp with no bend. And then back to E, and then climb down the pentatonic scale. C sharp, B, G sharp, F sharp. And that's it. It's not very complicated, that one. Okay, lick 6, we are starting with a B minor triad, sort of a sweep. And we are going up to the 16th fret of the G string, 16, 15, 14. And we are sweeping that into the F sharp, which is the downbeat of the B minor bar, B minor E7 bar. And then after that, we are basically just climbing down a B minor scale. Skipping a couple notes, but we're doing that triad, and then playing E, D, C sharp, B, and then A, F sharp, E, C sharp. And then we play that G sharp, which is the 3 of the E7. And then we finish the lick after that slide, sort of playing that G sharp. We kind of slide into it. We slide out of it once again like an E blues lick, sliding from the G natural down to the F sharp. And we climb down from there, G sharp, F sharp, and the way I'm playing it, I jump up to the D string, F, E, D sharp, C sharp. So what's happening here, after sliding into that G sharp, which is the 3 of the E7, we're basically climbing down chromatically from there. G, F sharp, F, E, D sharp, and then finish on the C. Okay, so lick 7 starts on beat 3 of the A major 7 bar, and we're basically starting with an enclosure idea. Where we're playing, once again, we're still kind of dancing around our C sharp minor box, but we're playing over A major 7, so we're playing the B, G sharp, and A. B on the D string, G sharp on the A, and pinky on the A string. So that's sort of the 2, 7, 1, of that A chord. And then we do something interesting. We go back to the 2 of the A, we go back to that B, but on the way there we hit a G natural, which is the flat 7. So he plays this really dissonant flat 7 note over the A major 7 chord. The A major 7 has a G sharp in it, but he's playing G natural, which is sort of an odd thing to do. But it makes more sense with the following notes. So he does that now. And this gets him into the D sharp half diminished bar, the D sharp and the sort of the 2-5 of C sharp. And now he's pulling off from that flat 7 of the A, the G natural to F sharp to F natural. And that F natural now becomes the 6 of the G7 chord. Oh, I'm sorry, the G sharp 7. And then he plays that G sharp with his pinky, and basically just climbing up a diminished arpeggio. Like that. So we're playing F, G sharp, B, D, and resolve to the C sharp. So he's doing a nice little diminished run to resolve on C sharp. So you have basically got that. Okay, so lick 8 is sort of the final lick of this 3-lick phrase idea. And we're starting with another sweep and it's a G sharp minor 7 flat 5 idea, or a G sharp diminished idea, right? We are playing G sharp, B natural, and then D natural, giving us a sort of a diminished triad. And he's playing this over the G sharp 7 chord. So he's playing a G sharp dominant 7 chord, but yet he plays the minor 3 and the flat 5, which to me hints at a G7 altered idea. And then right after this sweep, he does a hammer-on from the minor third into the major third, sort of recognizing that you're on sort of a G dominant chord. And then he goes back to that D natural. And then he pulls off from the B to the A. Now the A is the flat 9 of that G7, once again reassuring that we are in G7 altered. And then after that, we're basically in C sharp pentatonic. F sharp to E, and then slide up to G sharp, and then climb down the pentatonic. F sharp, E, C sharp. So that's that G sharp diminished triad, and then minor to major third, back to the flat 5, and then minor third to flat 9, and then C sharp minor. And that's legate. So here we are, lick 9. We are once again in our C sharp minor pentatonic box. This time we're basically just playing C sharp minor notes from the actual, well, from the pentatonic scale at least. And we are sort of playing with them in just a rhythmic fashion, right? This is sort of a George Benson thing when he's not ripping a ton of crazy cool jazz licks. He's doing something extremely rhythmic, and that's what we have here. So there's one main idea that keeps getting recycled through this. And that idea is this. And that starts on the last 16th note of the E7. So going into the third bar, going into the A major 7 bar. We're starting on the G sharp and go quickly to the C sharp right above it on the E string. And then we go down an octave to C sharp on the D string and play that twice. And then climb up the pentatonic scale, E, F sharp, G sharp. And then back to C sharp, like that, and then climb up again, E, F sharp. And that's the first measure. And that's the main theme of this whole rhythmic thing. Everything else is just a variation on that. So the second measure starts the same way. We start on that high C sharp. And after that high C sharp, we go down an octave, 2 more C sharps, and climb up once again after those 2 C sharps on the D string, E, F sharp, and then we do this little blue note. G natural, pull off F sharp to E, and then we pivot on our ring finger from the C sharp to the F sharp and back, like that. And then finish on the E. So that measure Right there. And then the next measure is the same as the first measure. And then the following measure, now we're on the B minor and E7 measure. Same thing, except there's a slight tweak. So the only difference, it starts with the same set of notes, C sharp, 2 more C sharps down an octave, climb up to G sharp, and then we go back to C sharp like we normally do, but we play it twice. And then climb up. So C sharp, E, F sharp. And that measure is. And then the final measure is pretty similar. It goes like this. So it's the same exact thing as the previous measure with that double C sharp halfway through, except we don't finish on an F sharp. We just stop on the E. So if I play this entire thing real slowly, it sounds like this. There you have it. Okay, so this lick 10, sort of caps off that heavy rhythmic idea. And so basically what we're doing here, this is happening over the D sharp half diminished in the G sharp 7. And we are starting on the A on the 14th fret G string, sliding into the A sharp, and then playing D right underneath it on the 15th fret, and then G sharp to F, which basically outlines sort of like a B flat 7 chord. And now, why is he doing this? This whole lick revolves sort of around a combination of G sharp 7 and G sharp 7 altered ideas. And if we're thinking about this in terms of G sharp 7 or G sharp 7 altered, we're sliding from the flat 9 into the 9 from A to A sharp, and then we're playing the flat 5, the 1, and then the 6. And then we take the C, slide down to B natural, which would be the 3 down into the minor third. Or you can think of that minor third as a sharp 9, which would make it more altered. And then after that slide from the C to the B, we play the flat 9 to 1. We play the A natural to the G sharp. So he's playing 3, sharp 9, flat 9, 1. And then he plays the E natural. We're basically doing a descending arpeggio now. E natural on the D string, 14th fret, which is like the sharp 5. And then the C, which is the 3 again, and pulls off to the A on the 12th fret. Now you'll notice that this portion is once again a use of that A harmonic minor over the, I mean, you can think about an A harmonic minor all the way from the C. He uses that A harmonic minor over the G sharp 7 chord, which gives him this whole series of altered sounds. And that's a common tool that you can use. You can use the harmonic minor scale a half step up from the root note of a dominant 7 chord. So in this case, our dominant 7 chord is G sharp 7, like that. We are using the harmonic minor of A, which is a half step above that. So in any case, He goes from the 3 to the sharp 9, flat 9, 1, and then the sharp 5, 3, flat 9, and then he takes the 12th fret E and then slides it down to C sharp, and then gets the G sharp on the A string. So that's and that whole thing takes place over the D sharp half diminished to G sharp 7, utilizing a lot of forms of the A harmonic minor scale with some slight variations, but giving you that G sharp 7 altered sound through the use of A harmonic minor. Okay, so here we are, lick 11. This is taking place over the B minor 7 to E7 to A major 7. And so you'll notice what we're doing, we're sliding into A, and then it seems like we're playing in our D minor pentatonic box, or minor box. So this comes straight out of basically our D minor box. Which is very odd considering we're in the key of C sharp minor. So he's using the minor box, the minor pentatonic scale, a half step up from the root note of the song, which is very strange. But it sort of makes sense when you look at things through the lens of altered chords. And so he's sliding into this A, and then he's playing F to D, and then plays the A again, and then C to B flat. So this is basically just coming out of our like D minor scale, right? But the way we're using it, slide into the A, which is the 4 of the chord. And remember, he's thinking about this as E7. So he's playing the F natural, giving you the flat 9 of E7 to the 7, to the dominant 7 right there, to the D. So 4, flat 9, 7, right? Back to the 4, sharp 5, flat 5. All of, in context of E7, you got the 4 or the 11, flat 9, flat 7, 4, sharp 5, flat 5. And now we're into the A major 7 bar, so we take the A and slide it back a half step to G sharp, so now we're thinking A to G sharp, makes perfect sense over an A major 7 chord. And then we do a series of chromatic licks that we've done before. So now, after sliding back into our G sharp, it positions us pretty much perfectly for the C sharp minor box. So now, after this G sharp, we're playing F sharp and basically coming all the way down to D sharp. Like that, with a little slide into D sharp, and then we reach with our pinky to C sharp, the root note of the song, and do another chromatic lick down. To A sharp, and then get the D sharp right above it. So, right there, giving you all of this. So, here we have lick 12, and once again we are going now from that A major 7 bar back into the turnaround, the 2-5 of C sharp, the D sharp half diminished, and the G sharp 7 altered. And once again we are treating it as an entire bar sort of G sharp 7 altered. But if you notice the tonality of the lick, he's using once again that A harmonic minor, and he's using pretty much exclusively an A harmonic minor 9 arpeggio is basically what he's doing, but he's doing it in a super cool George Benson style. And what we're doing, we're back here on our G sharp in our C sharp minor box, and we're pulling off, or we're playing the G sharp and pulling off from A back down to G sharp. And then he slides from the 12th fret, but it's sort of just like a nonchalant slide, not a specific note. He does something like this. And slides up to the B on the 3rd string. So he actually starts on the G, but I don't think that that G was necessarily a specific note choice as much as it was just a launching point for the slide. So he slides up to that B and then gets the high G sharp on the 16th fret with his pinky, and then he basically from that G sharp just descends a harmonic minor 9 arpeggio. Like that. So from this high G sharp, we go to the 12th fret and then pull off C to B, and then we play A to G sharp, E, C, A. So that's giving you that A harmonic minor sound. Alright, so the entire lick. And he's using all of that in context of a G sharp 7 altered. Okay, lick 13, we are starting on the 9 of the key, which is D sharp, and we are doing an enclosure technique. We're playing the 2 outside notes surrounding a note. So D sharp, F sharp, and then E, and then back to F sharp. So we're just sticking to the C sharp minor scale with the 2, 3, and 4. So 2, 4, 3, 4, like that. Right there. And then sliding from the 5 to the 6, from the G sharp to the A. So basically just C sharp minor scale. And then we jump all the way up to the F sharp and we do a chromatic climb down. All the way down to C sharp. So and once we get to the C sharp, we descend an F sharp minor arpeggio. And get to that E natural, which would make it an F sharp 7. F sharp minor 7. And starting here, we basically play the same fingering for strings 4 and 5. D, C sharp, B, A, G sharp, F sharp, right? And what this does, we are basically now outlining sort of the E dominant 7 scale or like a B Dorian scale because this is occurring over that bar. So, and then play E on the 6th string and C sharp. So after the chromatics, arpeggio, and then the B Dorian scale. Get down to the C sharp, jump back up to the A, and then up to the B, and I'm sorry, after the C sharp, my mistake. After the C sharp, we go to the G sharp, so we go up a 5th. So, and then G sharp, B, and then climb down from the A, G sharp, F sharp, G sharp. So from that chromatic climb down, sounds like that. The entire lick being this. once again, we are starting with a C sharp minor enclosure technique, sticking with C sharp minor. Then we do an F sharp chromatic climb down to an F sharp minor 7 arpeggio, following that with a B Dorian scale down, and then basically just finishing up with B Dorian notes. Or you can think of it at that point in terms of C sharp minor. Alright, lick 14, we are, guess what, once again in our C sharp minor box. But this time we're doing a different thing. We are sort of using something called quartal harmony instead of tertiary harmony, where we're thinking of things in thirds. Right now, he's thinking about things very briefly, but in fourths. So he's sliding, just basically like the beginning, G sharp to C sharp, and then plays F sharp to B. So those are 2 fourths. G to C sharp is a fourth, F sharp to B is a fourth. And then after that, he plays a minor third, sort of, which is E to C sharp. So he's playing these 2 notes, followed by these 2, followed by these 2. So it's basically a fourth, a minor third. This is happening over the A major 7 bar, and then he follows that with, once again, like almost an identical chromatic lick that we've done several times. So it's sort of like chromatic C sharp harmonic minor. So we are climbing down from the F sharp into the D sharp, something he's done a bunch of times. He's a very big fan of that. And then plays the root note, C sharp, and then plays the major 7, C natural. And then finishes on the 2, which is D sharp, which is the chord that we're playing over at this point because the phrase bleeds over into the D sharp half diminished bar. Right there. So you have Alright, so here we are, lick 15. We are transferring from the G sharp 7 bar back into the 1, and we are doing this. That final note that I just played, D sharp, that's the downbeat of the C sharp minor bar back at bar 1. So we're starting on the E, and we're basically just sticking to C sharp minor notes, playing over that G sharp 7. So E, F sharp, G sharp, and then we do something cool. We jump up a string, or skip a string, to the G string here, play the 2, which is the D sharp, and then the F sharp. Like that. And if we were to map all these notes out, basically what we're doing, we're in context of G sharp 7, we're sort of outlining like a flat 13 chord. We play the E, which would be the flat 13, and then we play the 7, the 1, which is G sharp, remember thinking in terms of G sharp 7, the 5, and then the 7, and then here we play the B, C sharp. So we're basically just doing a little stepwise scale motion into that D sharp. Like that. And now we're in the C sharp bar, but we resolve that G sharp 7 lick into the D sharp. So it's nice because we're playing into the 9 of the C sharp minor chord. And then we do this. Now here we're basically just doing a C sharp minor pentatonic lick, where we're pulling off from C sharp to B, playing G sharp, flattening our ring finger to get back to that C sharp, and then climbing down. That's B, G sharp, F sharp. Now flattening our first finger to get the B. So, and then we just basically climb down the rest of the pentatonic scale, and then we end on D natural. Why do we end on D natural? Because we end on the very beginning of the B minor chord. So that's B minor right there. So that whole idea sounds like this. Okay, so now we are finishing the B minor 7 E7 bar, and we are doing this. Lick 16 begins on the F sharp to G sharp, and then we climb up chromatically from the B to the C sharp. And now we play like a little blues idea, where we play the E, and then take the F sharp, slide up a half step and back, and then play the C sharp, and basically, and then we play this. And this is sort of like a reverse enclosure idea, where we're starting with the middle note, D natural, play E, and then slide into C sharp. And that part occurs over the A major 7. This D natural happens right on the A major 7. So it's kind of like a delayed resolution to the 3 of that A major 7, to the C sharp. So we have like that. Okay, so lick 17 is basically just like a C sharp minor, sort of like standard pentatonic blues lick. We're climbing into the F sharp pentatonically from C sharp, E, F sharp. Then we take that F sharp and we bend it. Basically just 5 times. And, you know, it's sort of like it's fast, right? So it's not like an exact precise bend. We're doing... You know, so it's not like you don't have to worry so much about bending exactly to a specific pitch. It's more of an effect than anything else. Bend it 5 times. Release. And then hammer on E to F sharp and back to E. Right like that. Okay, lick 18 is just simple pentatonic C sharp minor stuff. Sliding into C sharp, play B, and then we're literally just climbing down the pentatonic scale. E, C sharp, B, G sharp, F sharp, E. Okay, so here we are, lick 19, and we are on the D sharp half diminished bar, the D sharp and the G sharp 7, and we are going actually into that D sharp bar with a pickup And that pickup starts on right after the downbeat of beat 4. So it's the last 3/16 notes of beat 4 of the previous bar. And it's that. We're basically playing the first half of this lick just in our C sharp minor box. Bouncing back and forth from C sharp, E, back to C sharp. And then we jump to F sharp on the G string, do a bend, release the bend, hit a natural F sharp, and then start climbing down our pentatonic scale. Like that. Right there. So we have... And now here comes the interesting part. The next thing we do is an F sharp augmented sweep. And what we're doing here, we're basically just playing an F sharp augmented chord. But this is all happening over the G sharp 7. So this F sharp augmented outlines the 7 of the G sharp, the 9 of the G sharp, and the flat 5 of the G sharp. And then we do this lick. And what's happening here, this is kind of interesting. We finish that sweep on the D natural, so that's F sharp, A sharp, D natural. And then basically what he's doing, he's pretty much kind of reaching with his pinky up to the F natural from the D natural and climbing down chromatically to the D sharp. However, he takes a little pit stop on the way and he plays the F, the E, and then instead of going directly to the D sharp, he plays the C natural and then resolves to the D sharp. So it's sort of like a delayed chromatic resolution, meaning that he's moving chromatically sort of in a like almost chromatic enclosure idea. Like that, but instead of going directly to the resolution note, which is D sharp, he stops on C, which adds this nice movement down and up. So the whole thing sounds like this. Okay, so here we are in lick 20, and we are starting with this portion of the lick. And this first section is happening over the end of the C sharp minor bar, and you are basically using the same idea that George Benson was using in the previous lick, this sort of delayed chromatic resolution. If you map these chromatic notes out, we're basically just climbing down from F sharp down to D sharp. Like that. But just like last time where he takes a pit stop on that one note, we're doing the same thing except we're taking a pit stop on 2 notes this time. So we're climbing from F sharp down to E, and then we're playing C sharp to C natural before going to the D sharp. And so what's happening here harmonically is he's really sort of using C sharp, melodic minor or harmonic minor. I realize so far in the lesson I've been talking about harmonic minor, and it's sort of ambiguous because up until, we haven't really seen a lot of the 6th of the scale to signify whether things are harmonic minor or melodic minor, the 6th being the important note because both of those scales have a raised 7th. You can think of this either as harmonic minor or melodic minor. It's very probable that George Benson thinks melodic minor because he's a jazz player, and melodic minor harmony is like very, very prominent in jazz. But in any case, what we're doing is, like I said, we're kind of connecting these 4 notes chromatically. But then he plays the root note, and then the raised 7th, and then to the D sharp. Now the cool thing about this is before playing the C sharp, he plays an E natural and then the C sharp, which is a minor third. They're a minor third apart from each other. And then he plays the C natural and the D sharp, which is also a minor third apart, which gives us this sound. And that is indicative of sort of a I guess you can call it like a diminished half-whole scale, right? Which is also part of the melodic minor scale. So there's a lot of like sort of intense harmony happening in a seemingly simplistic lick, or a portion of the lick. It's not even the whole lick. So after that, he does a G minor major 7 arpeggio. So now he jumps back up to F sharp with his pinky, down to D natural, B flat, and G, which gives you a minor major 7 arpeggio. Now this is happening over the B minor section, or the B minor chord. Why is he playing this over the B minor chord? Well, this is actually B harmonic minor without the root note. You're actually playing the 5 of B, which is F sharp, then you're playing the minor 3rd of B, which is D, and then you're playing the raised 7th, A sharp, and then the flat 6, G natural. So this G minor major 7 arpeggio is very much indicative of B harmonic minor. And then after that, he slides his pinky down to the F sharp and does an F sharp minor arpeggio ascending. So that's F sharp, A natural, C sharp, and E, still happening over the B minor bar. So now in this case we're thinking 5, flat 7, 9, and the 11, this time indicating more of a B minor 11 sound. And in any case, after that, we do that idea. Now we're into the E7, so we're playing G sharp here, and then sliding down from F into E. And then we jump up to F, and down to E. Now that F over the E7 indicates a flat 9, same with this F, but although that F is much more of a grace note than this one. Like that. So thus far we have and then the final thing, we are now into our A major bar. Real simple little move. We're just playing E, B, and then A. So there's a lot of complex harmony happening in this lick, and you can break it down. I mean, we really sort of just scratched the surface on this, and I don't want to dive too much into the intense harmony in each thing, or in each lick, because this is mainly about learning the song, or learning the solo. But I hope I give you enough to at least get your curiosity going, and get you started and moving in the right direction in thinking about how to understand these licks and how to sort of conceptualize them so that you can mimic them in your own playing. So, in any case, on to the next. Alright, so we are into lick 21, and this is happening over the end of the A major 7 bar, and our first portion of the lick is basically just an A major 7 arpeggio, but it's a very interesting shape. It's actually sort of an A major 9 arpeggio, but we are starting on the A, on the B string, and then we're bouncing back and forth between A, B, A, and sliding into G sharp. And then we pull off C sharp to B on the D string and get A on the 5th string right there. So we're skipping the G string. And now we're into the D sharp chord and we play this. And this is basically a B half diminished arpeggio. And we're playing a B half diminished arpeggio over the 2-5, over the D sharp half diminished to G sharp 7. And you can think about this in terms of sort of like a, you can think about this in terms of, I guess, a G sharp 7 altered. In that case, you would have the 1, the 7, the flat 5, and the sharp 9. Right there. And then after that we do In this part, we're basically, now we're doing the same idea that we did over the A major 7 section, something very similar. We're starting on B, playing A, and sliding down to G sharp. So once again, in terms of G sharp 7, that's the sharp 9, the flat 9, down to the root, and then we play, which is the 7 to 6 of G sharp. And then we pull off from C to B natural, giving us the major 3rd to sharp 9 of the chord. And then we're on the flat 9 here. And then we drop it down a half step. And we do basically what is a G sharp minor 7 arpeggio, which is G sharp, B, D sharp, F sharp. But that B can function, as we've noticed so far, not so much as a minor 3rd, much more as a sharp 9. And then we pull off to the E, and then we jump up to the high E string and do that lick. And now here we are pulling off from the D sharp to C sharp and finishing on the F sharp. So that whole lick sounds like this. Okay, so this is sort of 2 licks. We're combining lick 22 and lick 23 into one because they're both pretty similar. And the first one, we are in the B minor 7 bar, and we're on the 2nd beat, but there's a 16th rest. So there's a quarter note rest and then a 16th rest, and then we're basically just bouncing back and forth between F sharp and E. Like that. And we're doing that for the rest of that bar plus the following bar, which is the A major 7 bar. So it's almost 2 full bars. And the rhythm, if you kind of map it out, it's sort of an 8th, 16th, 8th, 16th, 8th, and you're kind of oscillating back and forth between an 8th note and a 16th note. Like that sort of a thing. All the E's are 16th notes, and all the F sharps are 8th notes. And then after that, we do this. And this idea, you could play this 2 ways. I'm not sure exactly how he did it because there's no video of him doing this, so I can only sort of guess. But basically what he's doing, he's sliding into that F sharp now, and he's playing the E, and then C sharp, and B. And the way I'm playing it, I'm sliding into that F sharp with a downstroke, playing E with an upstroke, and then C sharp with an upstroke. So I'm sort of sweeping like a reverse sweep, like dragging my pick, and then doing a pull off to B. Like that type of thing. You can also do it this way. And this is more of an actual sweep idea because you're sliding into the F sharp, then you're playing E, and then upstroke with C sharp, and then upstroke B on the 16th fret. So that sweep is 12, 14, 16. It's either that or... Now the reason I chose my way is because I know from having studied George Benson that he does a lot of 2 note per string ideas. That doesn't mean that he doesn't do sweeps. He definitely does sweeps, as you've seen in the song, or in the solo so far. He's done several. But it's just sort of a stylistic thing. I'm not sure which one he does. It's very clear. It's not very clear. It's sort of muddy sounding, the recording. But feel free to choose whichever one works best for you, because that's pretty much the whole thing for lick 22 and lick 23. You're just doing that. And then you finish it with a slide into G sharp before going into the next little rhythmic idea. So now we're in a very rhythmic portion of the song. Not as much intense George Benson shredding, but still some good stuff. So get that rhythm stuff under your fingers, because it's very valuable. Okay, so lick 24, we are once again doing something very rhythmic, and it's sort of it's one of the climaxes of the solo, coming out of the previous rhythmic stuff. We are once again up here in this upper portion of C sharp minor, and we're starting on C sharp on the B string, and just climbing up pentatonically, C sharp, E, F sharp, and then we're doing a slide a half step below into G sharp. And then we're just basically playing 16th notes with the slide on the downbeat of every one of those. So, like that. And this is occurring over the end of the A major 7 bar. So this are the last 3 16th notes of beat 3, and then that slide are the 4 16th notes of beat 4. So it's like 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 1 E and from there we continue that idea for two more bars. Sorry, 3 more bars. It takes a long time when you're doing it that slow. It seems like a lot longer than it actually is. But so you're doing that tremolo idea for 3 bars plus beat 4 of the preceding bar. And then you're basically you stop on that, and then you're just playing octaves between the G sharp on the G string and G sharp on the high E. And you're doing that for the remaining 2 bars before going into the next lick. So the whole thing sounds like that. Okay, so lick 25, we are finished with that high G sharp. Well, we're not exactly finished with it. We're staying on that high G sharp octave. And then we go from there. And then we stay, after that little slide out of G sharp, we go back to that G sharp octave, and then we climb down chromatically down to C, and then back up to E. And then, so if you notice, each one is hit twice, except for that last one, except for E. They're all hit twice except for E. We drop all the way down to C natural, and then back up to E, and then hit that E once, and then we climb back up to G sharp, all with only hitting each one time. So most of them are hit twice, except for the very end, the last 1, 2, 3, 4, the last 5 of them only get 1 stroke each. And I do want to emphasize the articulation is important. You really want to have like short or long, let me think. A combination of long, short, long, short, long, short. You don't want where they're all long, and you don't want where they're all short, right? You sort of want a combination of long, short, long, short, long, short, back and forth. And then when you get up to here, then those are all long, right? So when you're doing the chromatic thing, the descending 2 notes each, or 2 times per note, you're doing long, short, and then once you get to the E, after that it's just long notes. And that articulation is really important. Okay, so lick 26. What you heard initially before I played just lick 26 was the end of the previous section, well, I guess the previous lick, going into this whole octave section. And I wanted to play that sort of as an entire thing so you can hear how each of these licks I'm going to teach you sort of fit into that entire section as a whole. Now lick 26 is the first of these after that chromatic climb up, and we start with this. And what we're doing a little pickup into the C sharp minor bar, and we're playing, this is all octaves, remember? So whether you want to, I don't know if when you play octaves you watch your first finger or you watch your pinky. For me, I watch my pinky. So if you hear me call out fret numbers, I'm going to be referring to fret numbers based on the upper of the 2 octave notes. So starting on the 12th fret E, and then C sharp and D sharp. Now you can play these octaves wherever you want. I'm playing them, I'm playing, for example, this C sharp and D sharp on the B string. You could just as easily have played it on the E string, right? I prefer not to. And that D sharp is the beginning of the C sharp minor bar. Just like very often throughout the whole solo, he's played the 9 as the downbeat of the C sharp minor bar. And then we do this part. So then we jump down to G sharp, pinky on the 13th fret, and then C sharp and F sharp. And then we jump down B to G sharp, and then E, D, C sharp, and then slide E to C sharp. Now what's happening here harmonically, we're basically just staying in C sharp minor, and then we get to the B minor bar, and this B minor bar, B minor E7, remember, think about it that it is sort of an E7 as well. We're on this E right here, and then we play E, D, C sharp, E, and then slide down to C sharp. So that stuff occurs over the E7 bar, and the preceding notes occur over the C sharp minor bar. So and the articulation I'm using is exactly the same articulation he is. So when you're listening to the solo in your head and you're playing it, make sure that you're trying to hear those articulations, which ones are long, which ones are short, because that's all very essential in sort of mimicking George Benson's style. His articulation is second to none, so, you know, try to cop that if you can. Okay, so we're actually going to combine licks 27 and 28 in this little segment because they're both very short, and the next few licks, these included, are sort of like call and response licks, just like a question and an answer idea. And so this makes up the first one, lick 27. And we're basically mimicking what we did in the previous lick over the E7 bar. This time we're over the A major bar. We're using the same notes, E, D, C sharp, E, C sharp, E. And that's the whole thing. It's just E, D, C sharp, E, C sharp, E. And on that bounce back and forth between C sharp and E, you can slide, you can kind of lift up and re-articulate, or you can do a combination of both, right? I mean, it's not the end of the world if you do one or the other. And then sort of the answer to that is, now here we're over the D sharp half diminished and the G7, which is very interesting what's going on here. He's playing a C major arpeggio, which is very weird. It's very, very weird. Because he's playing a D sharp half diminished, which has a C sharp in it. It doesn't have an E and it doesn't have a G. And then he's playing a G sharp 7 altered, some type of G sharp 7 altered, maybe like something like this maybe. Right? In that case, if he were to play, say, a sharp 5, it would have an E, and it does have a C, but the arpeggio he's using is a G natural, right? It has a G natural. It's not C augmented, it's C major. And so I'm not entirely sure why he played a G natural. It's, you know, like I'm not necessarily understanding the harmony and how it fits into a G sharp 7 chord. Maybe you can, but regardless, I think it sounds awesome. So C, E, G, back to C. So he bounces back and forth between E and G. Like that. It creates a lot of tension before resolving to the C again. And that's lick 27 and 28. Okay, so we are now combining the next couple of licks, which are basically lick 29 and lick 30. And lick 29, we are playing over the C sharp minor. And what's happening here, he starts on D sharp, once again, C sharp minor playing the 9. And then he goes from D sharp to B, to A, and then to F sharp, and then finishes with an E. Like that. So he's basically playing, which is interesting. I mean, he's using basically only 2 arpeggio notes, two chord tones, which are the B and the E. And the E is sort of the resolution. So he's climbing down that idea, which sounds very Lydian, and then resolves to the E. And then he does sort of the answer to that. Now here, we're over the B minor 7 and E7 bar, and we're playing E, C sharp, E, C natural. And then sliding from G sharp down to F sharp. So that's E, C sharp, and then E, C natural. Now, how does this fit into sort of the harmony? Well, you can think of the B minor 11. The B minor 11 would have an E, and it very likely has a C sharp, which would be the 9 of the chord. And then he switches to E7, maybe an E7 sharp 5, which would have E and C natural, and then G sharp, and the 9 of E would be F sharp. So you can think about the E7 in terms of an E7 sharp 5, natural 9, and the B minor in terms of a B minor 11, and that would get you those notes. Okay, so licks 31 and 32. On this one, we're playing over the A major 7 bar. Sorry about that. And we're playing E to F sharp, C sharp to E, and then A. So we're basically just, sort of outlining an A major idea. E being the 5, F sharp being the 6, C sharp being the 3, E the 5 again, and then finish on the A. So that's... And now we just do sort of a climb up. And now here we're going down to F sharp, G sharp, A, B, and just sort of climbing up the C sharp minor scale, and then we do this cool thing, which is a chromatic enclosure idea, where we're playing D natural, C natural, and then playing C sharp. And that C sharp occurs on the downbeat of the C sharp minor bar, so here he's actually playing the 1 on the 1 chord. And then we finish that lick after that C sharp, sliding into G sharp from above, from the A, and then we play E, C sharp. So harmonically speaking, there's not a crazy amount of stuff happening here. We're just kind of like sticking to regular C sharp minor ideas, save for that chromatic enclosure. But it's very cool, and it culminates in, if you play the entire octave section all the way through, it's really, really cool. So on to the next. Okay, so here we're combining 3 different licks because they're all sort of individually sort of simplistic, so I figured I'd combine all 3 of them, and they make up one big, larger sort of idea. The first one, really, we're just staying on one note, as I'm sure you noticed. We're just kind of hanging on E for almost 3 full bars. And that's basically like the whole thing. Alright, we're just kind of hanging there. And then the next lick starts with a slide, like this, and it goes into this. Right? So we're basically, this chord is basically just a C sharp minor chord. Right? C sharp, E, G sharp, E, right? And we get into this by sliding into the double stop on E and G. And then we grab the chord, and then we do this. So we're kind of like doing a little rhythm chord idea. And that's the idea, right? You want to hear that rhythm in your head. Ba-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da, right? And then after that, we do that, where we hit the upper portion of the chord, and it's sort of ambiguous, right? You don't have to be exactly precise. He's hitting 2 strings this time, 3 strings. It's a chord idea, and it's very dramatic, so you don't have to be hyper precise about it. But the idea is you hit in the upper 1 or 2 strings, and then the lower 2 strings twice. Like that. And then you go up to a C sharp minor 7 sort of chord shape right here, but just the 7, 1, and 5. So I guess there's not really a 3 in there making it not minor, but let's be honest, we know we're in C sharp minor, so that's sort of what he's doing. And then here, he's just doing real fast tremolo picking, and he's sliding into this. Each one of these lasts sort of like a beat and a half, and then he slides into it again. So like at tempo, it sounds something, I won't play the whole thing, but it's basically like this. Like that. And the idea is you've got to get a really, really fast tremolo thing. And you know, it depends how you like to do your tremolo. For me personally, I get more of this George Benson style where I drop my hand and you know, my wrist is raised in the air. For everyone, they have their own separate idea. You know, some people might do it like this, right? I mean, I tend to sometimes go back and forth between those two, depending. It actually depends for me heavily on the beveling on my pick, what kind of pick I'm using, and how beveled that pick is or unbeveled it is will sort of depend on will determine my tremolo picking style. But that's my business, so depending on how you like to do it, feel free, but that's basically the main idea. You're just kind of hanging on one E note and then playing a C sharp minor chord. And then you're doing tremolo on the C sharp minor chord. And that's basically those 3 licks. Okay, so now, lick 36. This one is a very unique one, and it's an awesome idea that I personally have stolen from George Benson and use this kind of idea a lot in my improvisations. But basically what we're doing, we're up high on the, basically this entire lick takes place on the G string and the E string, and it's a mixture of fifths and sixths. And so basically what we're doing, we're starting on A to C sharp, right? So the upper note is A, the lower note is C sharp, and then we slide that C sharp down to a B, and then play an F sharp, and then drop down a half step and play another fifth, which is B flat to F. So we're playing 2 fifths, B and F sharp to B flat and F. And then we bounce back and forth between those. Like that. And so that's basically and so when we get back up to the B and F sharp for the 3rd time, after that we slide once again back down to B flat, but this time we're not playing F natural, we're playing G flat right there. And then we move on to the next section, which now we slide from B flat down to, or A sharp, down to G sharp and D sharp. And then we go back up to A sharp and F sharp, or B flat and G flat. Like that. So we have from here, like that. And then we bounce back and forth between G sharp and D sharp, and A sharp and F sharp. And then after that, we finish that section on G sharp and D sharp, and then slide down to F sharp and D. Now this is happening over the B minor bar. The previous two bars were the turnaround, the D sharp and G sharp. The last bar was C sharp minor, and now we are on B minor. So we're on the F sharp and the D, and then we slide up to the G sharp and E twice. So that's... Now let me try that again. And then back and forth down to the F sharp and D, back up, back down, and now we are into the A major bar basically. And now here we slide down from the F sharp down into E and B, so a fifth again, and then back up a whole step. F sharp and C sharp. Like that. And then we slide back down for the turnaround bar, the D sharp to G sharp. And we're here, and then we're staying with this B upper note and just sliding the lower note. Like that. So we're basically just sliding the lower note between E and D sharp, changing it between a fifth and a sixth. And then we finish it by sliding up to F sharp and getting the C sharp, and we take that and do sort of like this, like not really articulated, sort of like nebulous slide up and down. So it's like and it's sort of really just an effect. The whole thing goes like this. And that's that. Okay, so we are into the last two licks of the solo, 37 and 38. And 37 comes out of that big slide, that big sort of like that. So we come out of that big thing, and then we go. And this is happening over the end of the E7. So we're sliding into the B, and then we play G natural, which is the sharp 9 of E7. And then we play F, the flat 9, and slide down into the 1. And then we do this. We play the 5 of E. Now this is over the A7, or the A major 7, and then the D, which resolves to the C sharp. So he's playing over the bar line, and he's playing this sort of E7 idea, sharp 9, flat 9. Like that. And then the next lick, 38, is basically a C minor pentatonic idea. We're starting on G sharp, and then we play D sharp, and bend it up a half step, and drop it down, to a natural D sharp, and then play C sharp. And then pull off B to G sharp in the pentatonic, and then we do this. So now we're on F sharp, and we're going to do a hammer-on pull-off onto G and all the way back down to E. And then after we pull off E, we reiterate it and hit it again. Like that. And then we do this, where we're doing like a little pivot from C sharp down to F sharp, back to C sharp, and then E. And then the final portion of the lick is that, where we're doing a hammer-on from B to C sharp, and then to E underneath our bar right here, and then B to C sharp again, and then G sharp lands directly on the 1 back at the top of the progression again. And there you have it. Alright guys, thank you so much for sticking with me through this solo lesson. It is as I'm sure you know, it is a bit of a monster of a lesson and a bit of a monster of a solo to play, especially at the tempo. It is a ripping tempo and it is a ripping solo, but it will make you a fantastic guitar player, or at least a better guitar player. We can all hope that we would progress to even just a fraction of George Benson's capability. But in any case, with this lesson, there's like lots of different concepts and harmonic ideas and things that George Benson employs. One of the things that you can begin to try to do if you're new to this sort of playing is, what he does, or at least I don't know how he thinks particularly. I can only analyze his playing and then try to think like him. But the way it makes sense to me is a lot of times he thinks off of the A major 7 chord, even when he's playing within the C sharp minor box, right? And that makes sense because in the key of A major, C sharp minor is the 3rd chord, right? It basically gives you the Phrygian sound, or like a minor flat 9, which very much corresponds to the rest of the chord progression because you have a B minor 7 and an E7, so that necessarily comes out of A major. So he thinks a lot in A major, or I think he thinks a lot in A major, but uses the C sharp minor box to navigate through those ideas. He also interprets almost all of the dominant 7 chords as some form of an altered chord, either sharp 9, flat 9, sharp 5, flat 5, or some combination thereof, and he superimposes those notes a lot on top of the dominant 7 chords. And in addition to that, you'll notice that what he does very often is over, say, the G sharp 7 altered chord, he'll play the A harmonic minor or melodic minor. I kind of mentioned sort of the discrepancy between the two. He'll play basically an A minor major 7 arpeggio, which basically, if you're taking that and playing that over G sharp 7, that's basically G sharp 7 altered, which comes from the melodic minor scale, so that fits perfectly. So that's a neat little trick. Anytime you have a dominant 7 chord and you want to create this very out there tonality, this very sort of, altered sound, play the play the melodic minor scale or an arpeggio from the melodic minor a half step above the root of the dominant chord. So if you're playing a G sharp 7, play an A melodic minor or the arpeggio of A melodic minor, and that'll give you a lot of the altered notes from the G sharp 7 chord. Consequently, if you play like an E7, you could do this over blues, you could do this over whatever. If you're playing an E7, play F melodic minor, and it'll give you the same effect. And in addition to that, I'm sure you notice he uses chromatic tones a lot. He'll use chromatic passing tones and then delayed chromatic resolutions. We talked about that, how he descends, and then before getting to the resolution note, he'll play something from the melodic minor or the harmonic minor of the home key before getting to that resolution note. And all of this is sort of ways of analyzing this type of playing so that you can begin to sort of ingest these ideas conceptually work them out in the practice room so that when you go to improvise, you can begin to piece some of these concepts together so you're not stuck doing this stuff only in C sharp minor. I want you to take some of these licks and take them as individuals, work through them, and then try to transport them in other keys and see how they work over similar chord progressions or completely different chord progressions, and try to adapt them in a way that will yield the broadest, most useful set of results, because that's ultimately what we're trying to do. It's great to be able to play a George Benson solo, and it's great for your technique, and it's really a lot of fun. However, what you really want is you want to be able to take these ideas and sort of import them into your own playing so that you can end up being a better improviser and a better guitar player. We all want to be as good as George Benson, and we might not get there, but we can damn sure try.